The president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, Tom Donohue, just wrapping up his annual State of American Business address in D.C., saying, quote, governing by crisis is no way to do the nation's business. He joins us now in a First on CNBC interview. Tom, good to see you right now. We got President Trump heading to the Texas-Mexico. We got President Trump heading to the Texas-Mexico border. Day 20 of this partial government shutdown. It seems that there's no deal in sight, at least right now. How is this affecting business and CEO sentiment here in the U.S.? Is it?
Yes, of course it is. But I think it's very important to understand that the longest we've ever had a shutdown was 21 days. And that's because as they go on, it becomes more and more difficult for businesses to get permits, to get information, to go public when it's all scheduled. But it's very, very important for individuals because, you know, the gas station's not going to give them free gas, and they're not going to stop at the grocery store and find that, and you can't delay your mortgage, and then it gets really sensitive and difficult. I think the president made an interesting point on the way to the plane. He says, I still think we could make a deal. I think that's true. We wrote to everybody yesterday and said, take care of the DACA and take care of the dreamers, and let's get on with this thing and figure out what's the right and reasonable thing to do to protect our borders. And I'm hopeful, because what usually happens in this country is when it gets tight enough, people make a deal.
What is the right and reasonable thing to do to protect our borders? Because if we do build a border wall, we're putting American companies to work potentially, right?
Yeah, and it'll take 10 years. And that's another problem, by the way. One of the major points we made in our talk today is that number one on our agenda is to get an immigration bill, because we're out of workers right now. If you did a bill, a major effort in infrastructure, and we think we can get that done, you don't have the workers to do it. And we're very hopeful that we can put those things together. What do the companies and individuals think about all of this? They think it's getting difficult. It's time to make a deal, and I believe the government will.
Tom, interestingly, you point to the need for kind of comprehensive immigration reform, which is something we've been talking about so long. It's almost laughable that we still have to talk about it and nothing has gotten done yet. And yet, all of this is really over a border wall, which it's hard to see how you draw the line from one to another. Does the chamber have a forceful position on what the emphasis should be on? And are there specific Congress people who you're looking to target with that message?
Well, there's no question that the administration understands there's a fundamental difference between an immigration bill and border security. And so to look at the border security, I think there have been a number of proposals made by both parties, and they have been put aside right now. I think they'll come back to something there. The politics of the issue should not be the concern about security or economics, but it will be, and it'll have to be. And we look forward to being as helpful as we can in finding a solution. When we move to the question of immigration, I believe the president and the administration will be helpful.
Tom, let's talk trade for a minute. On the one hand, we're coming off of these U.S.-China trade talks. There seems to be at least some sort of optimism there right now. On the other, you have the EU coming out and saying that talks with the U.S. are not going to include agriculture, and some lawmakers here now coming out and saying that we're not going to get a deal done with that ally unless that is on the table. How are businesses that you represent, I guess, accounting for all the trade uncertainty right now, and is it affecting their investments for 2019?
It will. I think the China thing is very instructive A team from the trade office is just leaving there. They had a very good exchange. Ambassador Lighthizer will go back in the next short period of time to try and tie those issues up and to make sure that whatever agreement we make, there are ways to being sure that our trading partners in China live by what they say we're going to do. I think folks are happy. I know about the U.S. Marine Corps. That's what we call the new NAFTA agreement, USMC, and that looks very positive. Well, that's the only way to remember it. And, you know, people are very positive about that. We hope that we're going to all work together to get that cleared through the Congress. And I think we will. I know we will. It's 14 million American jobs. And when you start doing that, you'll be able to cut back then on the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. That will build other people's confidence that good deals can be made. And I wouldn't worry about the discussions with our friends in the EU. It's very early time. They're more involved in the Brexit thing right now. And that'll be very interesting for us to see in the next days.